There's my temple, believer, unbeliever, or wild one. You are welcome. We have no definition of who we are but human. We have no code but that of respect. We have no creed but that of equality.
Blessed are we who gather with open hearts together in this space today. Blessed are we.
The chalice lighters of the resistance, justice, love, and faith.
Blessed are we, the heretics, the outcasts, the walkers of our own way.
Blessed are we. The border crossers, the refugees, the immigrants, the poor, the wanderers who are not lost.
Blessed are we, the transgressors, the trespassers, the passers-by, the cause-takers, the defiant, the compliant. Blessed are we.
The extenders, the sign makers, the protesters, the protectors.
Blessed are we, the trans women, the trans men, the non-binary, the cisgender, the multigender, the no gender. Blessed are we.
The friend, the stranger, the lonely, the hidden, the visible, the authentic.
Blessed are we, who rise in solidarity. Blessed are we who cannot. Blessed are we who do not. Blessed are we.
For this is our beloved community, and this is who we are.
Blessed are we.
I'd like to introduce Reverend Karen Van Fossan.
Many years ago, I very accidentally found myself in a verbal contest about who had survived the most embarrassing moment. Sadly for me, I won. To this day, I still remember the others around the table declaring, "Whoa, I thought mine was bad, but trust me, Karen, you outdid us all." Needless to say, this was not a contest I deeply desired to win. I hadn't even realized it was a contest until I was declared the absolute unequivocal winner. In fact, I was such a winner, I'm not even going to tell you how I won. You can just imagine the gathering with lots of gestures, lots of laughing, lots of heads shaking in disbelief. That's all I'm going to say about it. But I am going to tell you about somebody else's most embarrassing moment, as it was told to me. So you can imagine, there was a news conference. There was pressure. There were good impressions to make. There were very important words to say. There was also a giant cucumber seed and one chin. So people kept glancing at the offending chin. People kept kind of dabbing their own chins. People kept marveling in the privacy of their own minds on the unsung adhesive power of cucumber seeds. But nobody said a word. Not while anyone else was around to hear it. The reason I mention this is there's nothing quite like our most embarrassing moments to reveal the unspoken agreements we have made and how unsettled we feel when we break them. In mainstream American culture, we have apparently made an agreement that says, do not wear cucumber seeds on your chin. In fact, the only thing more inappropriate than wearing a cucumber seed on your chin would be saying out loud in front of all the people who already know there's a cucumber seed on that chin, "Excuse me, you have a cucumber seed on your chin." According to our mainstream American cultural agreements, it would bring the cucumber enthusiast less embarrassment to wear a cucumber seed throughout an entire news conference than to be denied the opportunity to pretend it isn't there. We agree to pretend we do not see things we do, and to help others retain their dignity by doing so. Dignity is important to us, to the extent that we'll pretend you've got it until you actually do. Not all cultures function this way. I'm not going to try it, but it'd be interesting to see what would happen if you wore a cucumber seed on your chin entering any mainstream American high school in town. High school students often find themselves in other agreements about how to find and lose dignity. So all this is to say, we are making agreements, spoken and unspoken, all the time. Sometimes we say them out loud, like when families make arrangements for childcare. I'll pick the kids up, you'll drop them off, and so on. Other times, our agreements are unspoken. Chances are no one ever told us directly that it's very undignified to wear a cucumber seed on our chins, but we figured it out by watching the unspoken agreements. So speaking of embarrassment, a few weeks ago, here in this pulpit, as I was telling a story in this service about a friend who had entered a federal courtroom in chains, some of you will remember this, I found myself weeping up here for a full long minute. The first thing I said was, "I'm sorry." What was I sorry for? For breaking our unspoken agreements as I understood them at the time. Ministers do not weep for full minutes, not in front of their congregations, not in the pulpit. I love the looks on your faces. You're like, it's okay. Which is what I'm getting to, but hang on. So as I sought to regain my composure, one of you said to me, in a voice that I believe spoke for many, "This is why we love you." In other words, according to agreements that we are beginning to speak out loud, our minister can be human, vulnerable, feeling alive, even right here in this pulpit. I'm going to take a deep breath too, I think. Thanks for that. Another part of this understanding, I believe, is that you trust that I'm not going to break into a full weep for a full minute each and every time I get up here, probably. I'm going to do my best to make it through today. Because I need to leave enough space for you to feel vulnerable, feeling, and alive as well. So it can be difficult sometimes to articulate what that being alive together as Unitarian Universalists and as friends of Unitarian Universalists, what it means for us, what our tangible agreements are. Many traditions in mainstream American life are based on creeds. Maybe you knew I was going to say that. An affirmation that the people present believe in common what the creed declares. This agreement to affirm a creed is the common understanding of what it means to be a religious community together. Yet we are a religious community without a creed and without much longing to have one, which can be confusing. So, if you'll bear with me, and I timed myself, this part is not very long, let's spend a little bit of time on creeds, and then we'll move on to covenant. So creeds are the paradigm of religious communities that we so often encounter. When people this morning gathered in my beautiful, faith-filled, loving, formerly United Methodist turned ELCA Lutheran Mothers Church, they likely recited the Apostles' Creed together. This may be a familiar one. This may be an important one for you. I believe in God. I believe in Jesus Christ, conceived by the Holy Spirit, born of the Virgin Mary, and so on. This is a creed. This creed, for those speaking it this morning, is the principal agreement. This agreement comes in the form of a statement of belief. Many traditions, like Christianity, very common here where we live, say that our beliefs deserve our acute attention because our beliefs, our creeds, affect the quality of our relationships with each other, with the earth, and some would even say God. To this point, Martin Luther, the extremely accidental founder of the Protestant Reformation just over 500 years ago in Wittenberg, Germany, is famously quoted as saying this: "Love is to be the interpreter of law. Where there is no love, these things, these very laws, are meaningless. He's speaking of Christian laws here, of course, the teachings attributed to Jesus of Nazareth and his community of political and social activists. I thought someone might smile when I said that. Love is to be the interpreter of law, Luther said. In other words, what we believe is manifested, made obvious by the love we share, our ways of relating. In other words, again, the proof is in the pudding, easier said than done, actions speak louder than words. So here we come to my favorite part. As Unitarian Universalists, as Christians, Buddhists, Hindus, pagans, atheists, agnostics, practitioners of traditional native spiritualities, and beyond, as Unitarian Universalists together, we say, sure, our beliefs, our creeds, our adherence to the moral teachings of a particular tradition may well affect our relationships and our willingness to bring love to those relationships. But, we go on to say, if love is the point, if our relationships are the point, let's just focus our attention there. Let's focus our agreements there, on our relationships. In our Unitarian Universalist tradition, the closest thing we have to creed is covenant. Our spoken, acknowledged agreements, our organizing principle. Gertrude Stein, maybe as famous as Martin Luther, Gertrude Stein, author and iconoclast, once said, when returning to a place she had deeply loved in the past, there is no there. There is no substance there, no sense of place in that place, no livable organizing principle. For Unitarian Universalists, our covenant is our there. Our caring team here at the UU has a covenant, a mutual spoken agreement about who and how we will be together. This covenant says we will be fully present and prepared, approach conflict as a way to grow, sustain a caring presence, etc., etc. Our Committee on Ministries here at the UU has a covenant. This covenant speaks of staying in clear communication, embodying our values, broadening our perspectives. Our Board of Trustees and Minister have a covenant. You might be surprised that it emphasizes humor and joy and ways to come back into right relationship if, in the strain of doing that work, we should find in a very human way we've fallen out of right relationship with one another. I believe our congregation as a whole here at the UU is ready for a covenant, a mutual spoken agreement about who and how we will be together. We may always feel a pull between creed and covenant, a paradigm shift. It seems to come up most obviously in our music or in the lyrics to our music. Maybe you've heard the joke out there that Unitarian Universalists are always about one half beat behind the music because they're scanning ahead to make sure they agree with everything they're about to sing. That approach, that we need to believe what we say out loud, is based on a creedal paradigm. And it makes sense in that paradigm. Earlier this morning, not long ago, we sang these words. When I breathe in peace. When I breathe out love. When we sing these words, we are not so much declaring a statement of belief, though some of us may very well be doing so. Mostly, we are affirming how we intend to be together. Mostly, we are embodying our agreements. Will we always live up to our agreements, our values, our covenants? Not as long as we're human. But a covenant understands that we are human, that we will make mistakes, and that we need ways of coming back into relationship again, even when we have cucumber seeds on our chins. Thank you.
Be ours a religion which, like sunshine, goes everywhere. Its temple, all space, its shrine, the good heart. Its creed, all truth, its ritual, works of love. Its profession of faith, divine living. Thank you.
Bless you. There's another joke, since we're telling our favorite UU jokes today, that in order to make sure that all traditions are acknowledged when somebody sneezes, UUs will often say, sneeze acknowledged. So, sneeze acknowledged.